Holly.
It is
Back
Holly.
again.
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I just decided.
Come on, Holly. Don't be shy. Introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself, Holly.
It's Holly. Tell me a little bit. What do you want to know?
Tell me a fact that maybe I wouldn't know.
Oh no!
Put you on the spot there.
Did you know that the phrase "good night, sleep tight" comes from the times when mattresses used to be, or bed frames used to be ropes? So if you had to have the bed ropes tight, or you would fall through the mattress.
I didn't know that at all. And also, what I find funny is, I said, "Tell me a fact that I don't know," kind of meaning about you,
about myself,
and you chose selflessly to tell me facts about bed frames.
A fun fact.
Which I think says that's told us all we need to know about your character, that instead of saying anything about yourself, you went straight to
trivia.
Yeah, which honestly I respect more. And it shows she's down to earth. She doesn't just talk about herself.
I think we're at this point where I don't think you know nothing about me.
Well, I think it's one of those things that occasionally you might say something that's really interesting, and I'll be like, no, I never knew that, and I can't believe you've never mentioned that. Or maybe you explain something a bit more in depth. I'm sure there's some part of your history I don't know, but it'd be hard to
pinpoint.
Think of. But you were in my dream last night.
Ooh, tell me. I love being in people's dreams.
Well, it's kind of mundane because the rest of it's a blur, but we were doing the podcast.
Excellent.
But we were doing it in my house, but because of social distancing, you were sat on my stairs and I was sat just outside my room, which is way too much distance. And it was just a massive mess because basically you got a phone call midway through, and instead of turning it off or declining it, you picked it up. So at that point I decided I'd check my audio, which I'm actually going to do now because it's working. Basically I checked my audio, my microphone wasn't in, so it was recording on my computer, and this is a bit of history. The recording facilities on my computer are very bad. It picks up every single bit of background noise. It's not good. So I was panicking about that. Meanwhile, also panicking about we're just recording this whole phone call that you're having. And I was trying to make jokes through it, and you were on the phone to someone called Bella, and I was making jokes about it being Bella Swan. And I was just laughing away to myself. And then it turned out you were having a really serious phone call with someone. And I'd just been making jokes throughout it, and then you just started looking really sad. So, if any of that starts to happen...
Oh my god, Hannah is a witch.
But I hope it doesn't, because it seemed like you were having a very sad phone call, and I was just laughing my way through it. On bad microphone quality.
Some podcasts where they've done that, where they've just, picked up halfway through and just rolled with it. If you're I imagine if you're as famous as Joe Rogan or someone, and someone phoned you, and you would just be like, oh no, I'm not going to stop the record for this.
I'm too good for it. But I think there's a way where it could be done in a comedic way. Your phone's ringing, it's already embarrassing enough, so just pick it up.
You could start a prank call.
Yeah, that's what I would like. Or say it's Joe Rogan. Someone famous could be calling him. They could put them on speakerphone. You've got a guest.
Instant guest.
Maybe we should just do an episode of this where we just call our friends and just see what they're up to. We run out of ideas. Just call them.
You joke about that, but Catherine Ryan's podcast has a segment where she does just phone her people she knows. Her mum and her dad and her sister.
That's nice though. Rylan from English TV, not Shane Dawson's
man,
Rylan
yes.
from Big Brother and stuff. X Factor fame. He hosts BBC Radio 2 on a Sunday, Saturday, something like that. And I just caught the end of it the other week. And he has a segment where he just calls his mum and they just have a chat.
That's what you want. That's the level of
it was really lovely. And it was just a really mundane chat about how she'd had to go to hospital because she'd hurt herself falling down the stairs. So maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
I I don't lay in during the week, because if I did, I would get nothing done.
Yeah.
So I really take advantage of weekends.
I think it's the problem of being unemployed. Because I feel like when my friends say, "Oh, I haven't been waking up till 11 because there's nothing to do," I'm like, I wish I could do that, but you're going back to university and I'm not, so I can't do that, or else I'm literally like this lolling.
Because the thing is, like, I'll say to my mum during the week, I'll be like, "Oh, I wish I could have a lay-in tomorrow," and she'll be like, "You know you can, because you're unemployed, you have nothing else to do." And I'm like, yes, but if I did, I would do nothing when I woke up. I'd never feel productive after a lie-in. I just am lazy. So I have to force productivity by waking up early, being productive until about 12, and then feeling tired for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and it's justified if you want to take a 2-hour nap in the afternoon because you've done stuff.
Yeah. And I actually haven't had a nap in a while, and I feel quite sad about that.
Oh, you were the nap
queen. I'm very passionate about naps. I love a nap.
We love naps.
I used to have a nap. I swear at uni I would have like a nap once a day. I'm very productive in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm very much a morning person. As soon as it hits afternoon,
can't do it.
I'm not. No, I'm too tired.
The wind is out of me.
I don't know why. Yeah. Why? And I say this to my family, and they're like, "You will struggle with employment."
Yeah, because you have to work until 5 in most jobs.
How? I know that seems awful, but because I have worked long shifts, but like that's been doing like on my feet constantly, which I'm not saying it's easy, but when you're on your feet constantly,
you're doing stuff.
There's no risk of feeling like sleepy or drifting off. I don't understand how you sit in an office for that long and stay awake. How? I would struggle.
The human body is not made for it. We don't want to be employed.
Sorry. No, employment's wrong. The way it is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And by not getting a job, I'm protesting it.
Yeah, this is me peacefully protesting against the systems that be. I don't want to work.
No.
Not to self-sabotage myself if a future employer listens to this podcast, but...
Yeah, if my future employer listens, I would love to work for your company, and...
I'm grateful for the opportunity.
What you're doing is great. Yeah. I just worry about going to interviews and just having to sell out.
Hannah, that's so sad.
But you like go to an interview and you despise the company.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the height of capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to sit there and say, "Yeah, I want this job. Hire me for this job." And I just think that's something I'll have to do at one point in my life.
Yeah. Well, my interview last week, because we are unemployed, but we're making efforts.
Yeah, don't get us wrong. We're trying.
We're trying.
Hard.
And the interviewer asked if the job I applied for was going to be a stopgap.
What?
In employment, if I was going to leave in 6 months, which is kind of what I was planning on doing. And then I had to say to her, straight out, I was like, well, I don't, because that's true, but I didn't want to say that, because I was like getting called out immediately. So I was like, well, I've had to move back home, like, I'm trying to build a new foundation for my life here, like, do something different. And then, but she was like, yeah, but this isn't your end goal. So you've been very honest in your cover letter, and I want to be honest with you. The interview lasted for 5 minutes, and I was politely declined.
It's almost like if you were honest in the cover letter in telling them that it wouldn't be a long-term
It's not my
fix,
end goal, yeah.
Why did they give you the interview?
I don't know. I think people are, because I've put on my cover letter and my CV that I'm a writer.
Yeah.
So I think people are intrigued by it a little bit. So maybe they just want to listen to me squirm.
I think it's maybe that's just something people should put in their CV, because it's like a hook.
Yeah.
When people see it, just put something very rogue in your CV. And people are going to read it and think, I want to hear more about that.
As I apply for customer service assistants.
Do you prefer when you apply for a job, never hearing back, or getting an email that's like, basically, we have a ton of people who are more qualified for the job, so no?
I think getting the email letting me know that I haven't been successful, because otherwise you're just waiting for weeks and you're like, oh, whatever happened with them? Must have just...
I forget.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get emails from people saying you've not got to the next stage, and I think I have no memory of applying for your job, so I can't be too sad about it because
we don't care.
I don't even you don't live in my brain. I've moved on.
But yeah.
So yeah, there's the boring part of our life.
Well, yeah, you asked me about an interesting fact about me that you didn't know.
And we talked about unemployment. Yeah, tell us. Okay, if you can't provide me an interesting fact, tell me something about your week.
Well, we've just come back from Huddersfield.
Yeah.
With the beautiful county of West Yorkshire, God's own county.
God's own country. I think it's either. I think you can say country or county.
It does feel like it should be its own country at some point.
It does. I think that it should be.
Yeah.
But it's something I've questioned a lot, but I think because
it's a county. Oh yeah, the movie.
Yeah, so it should be, but it should be county logically. But I think it's country, God's own country. But then my dad always refers to Scotland as God's own country. So a lot of debate in the household because he's actually talking about a country and we're talking about a county.
I was going to ask you if it's come from like a Bible bit that they called Yorkshire. Is that true? Did Jesus say this is God's own country?
I very strongly doubt it. I think he probably called somewhere God's own country county. I don't think it was Yorkshire.
Jerusalem.
Probably. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that Jesus made his way over to Yorkshire.
On his travels, on his world tour.
I don't think he hopped on an aeroplane, headed over and thought, you know what, this is where I belong.
I love that you don't think, like, there is a small possibility that it could have happened.
Certain. He was walking across the water. He could have had a long walk.
He could have crossed the channel, yeah.
Yeah, crossed the channel, come over, walked over to Yorkshire and just thought, yeah, this countryside is different from all the other countrysides I've witnessed on my travels. But it is glorious. Tell me about your time here.
It was lovely because my brother lives in Huddersfield and it was my dad's birthday, so we went over before they started announcing.
Happy birthday to your dad.
Thank you. I'll thank him on your behalf. But
you'll thank him.
I will thank him. But it was before they started introducing all these stupid new measures, and we were like, oh. But we went and we did limited things, and we wore a mask in the car with Ewan the entire time with the windows down. So there are measures you can take to...
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're trying to do, but also lots of lovely places to eat in Huddersfield.
Really?
Yeah, we went to this really nice, Mexican restaurant. The food was, the portions were massive. I could barely finish it.
I love that. And
then we went to the Northern Tea House, which I think is in Huddersfield city centre. And it was incredible. The breakfast was 10 out of 10. Really lovely, atmosphere.
Nice.
And then we went to Oakwell Hall, which is...
Yeah, I've never been here.
Have you not?
I've been to a lot of halls. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to look it up just in case.
I think you would like it because it's got loads of...
I think I would too.
...grounds, and it's free.
I love free.
And it's this kind of restoration... Well, it's older than the restoration, but it's your...
Oh, it's lovely.
It's your main guy, Charles II. So they were Cavaliers.
I love Charles II.
So it's been restored in that kind of dark wood panelling.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds lovely. So, all in all, good weekend.
Excellent weekend. And then we ruined it by going to IKEA midday on a Saturday. And it was hell on earth. People are animals.
People are animals.
People are animals.
So I've never been to IKEA.
This astounds me still.
Yeah, but you're not selling it to me at the minute. How were there, social distancing measures?
So there was the longest queue I've ever stood in to get in. So they had when you go to a concert and they have those barriers that snake around to break people up.
Yeah.
So we stood in one of them, but it did move quite quickly. But then it was like ready, set, go as soon as people were allowed in, like standing too close to you. People started moving in these big like clumps of herding. It was just madness. It was like, and my mum was like, because my mum she's a bit like immunocompromised situation. And she was like, they are just too close to me. So she got to a point, she was like, I'm pushing the trolley so that people will stay away from me.
Yeah.
Because
a trolley, I will say a trolley fully helps with that.
It's like a force
because
field.
You can, yeah. If you can get a trolley,
I would get a trolley. And if you want to still social distance and they're not doing it. But it was madness. It was like people just crossing over you, people overtaking you.
Oh.
And yes, everyone was, for the majority, wearing a mask. But it was people screaming at their children. And, ruined it.
Did you glare at them?
Did
you give them a good glare?
We did.
Yeah, I've been glaring at a lot of people.
You have to do it in your eye. You have to a lot to convey through your eyes these days.
Yes, because I was sat having coffee in Starbucks with my mum earlier in the week, and in this particular Starbucks, there's 2 doors. There's one that's like close to, well, it's where you queue in.
Yeah.
So it's close to the queue. So obviously that's the entrance. It says the entrance. It's a one-way system throughout. The other door is the exit. It's
simple
made clear
logic
that this is the case, because if you're going to exit through the entrance, you're passing through a ton of queuing people.
Yeah.
So me and my mum sat on a table closest to the exit, and a ridiculous amount of people decided to squeeze past us in order to get out of the entrance. And surely it passed through their mind that this wasn't quite right.
No.
I think they just knew and were just lazy.
Yeah,
That they couldn't be bothered to go to the other door, which is like about a 30-second walk.
Yeah.
So I've a growing resentment for people.
For the general public,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're just ruining it.
This is what I mean. Like, that's when I see people wearing their masks under their noses. I think you've heard it, you've seen it, and you've gone, I need to buy a mask. You buy a mask.
Yeah.
And then you wear it under your nose. You can still breathe through your nose.
Like a couple of months ago, if they did this.
We're 6 months in.
It's been made clear. I was sat on the train, and I could see a bunch of people just wearing it under their nose. And when they did the announcement, they were like, make sure you're covering your nose. They didn't change it. They didn't pull it above. And then one girl, I don't always resent teenage girls, because I have been one. Oftentimes I love them. It's more a resentment of teenagers in general when I see them sometimes, and you know when you just kind of get thrown back to being a teenager and you just think, we wouldn't have got along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there was like, you know you've done it, so you feel hypocritical, but when there's just really loud teenagers on a train...
It's just obnoxiously loud, like, you don't need to... Not to sound like a boomer, but...
Yeah, but because I know I do. And half the time I think they're great. They're the future. Children are the future. I've been one. Can't judge too much. But, so this girl sat there with, I don't know... You know when you like can see someone's really obviously trying to impress...
Yeah.
Like a teenage boy, and you just want to say, not worth it.
It's really not. Especially teenage boys. Like,
yeah, no.
I think probably boys don't mature until they're, 23?
It's hard to say if they ever mature.
We
can't know for certain that they do.
But anyway, so she was trying to impress this guy.
Oh, yeah, so she's got her mask on under her nose. Here's the announcement to say put it over your nose. Does move it up above her nose for a little bit. But then proceeds to, anytime she wants to talk to this guy, take the mask fully off.
Oh, my God.
Then put it back on when he talks. Take off, put it on, take off. I just wanted to go over there and be like, one, you don't need to... This boy's giving you nothing.
Yeah.
Stop wasting your time, have fun. 2, wear your bloody mask. You're on a train.
It's not difficult.
Don't be taking it on and off. Just keep it on. He can hear you with it on.
He can hear you.
So I don't know. I just find myself getting infuriated more often than not now.
I don't understand it. And I think the whole, especially because in the past week, the young people have been blamed for the rise in cases.
Yeah.
And I think, as a young person...
Rude. Yeah.
there's been so much conflicting messaging.
Yeah.
Young people are the people more likely to be working in like front-facing jobs, like service jobs.
Yeah.
And we've been told to eat out to help out for the economy. It's all about the economy. Go back to work.
Of course. Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, don't kill your granny.
I know, it's rude. Like, yes, I will admit, there is some young people that are being ridiculous. But the amount of middle-aged people that I've seen just being the absolute worst.
There's a bunch of Karens that don't want to wear a mask. And you're like, we're doing this for you.
Exactly. This is for you. And so, yeah, I definitely don't think that the young people are to blame. When I see like people, like older people doing the exact same thing as them, it's just that maybe, I don't know, people love to blame it on the young people.
And it's distraction as well. Like, it's to distract from the Brexit stuff as well this week, I think, for sure.
Yes, I think so. But also, I'm actually pleasantly surprised at like the amount of old people I see wearing a mask and stuff like that.
It's heartening to see, yeah.
Yeah. I would have thought maybe they'd struggle with it and like struggle with the change. But like even my gran wears a mask and she doesn't enjoy it. She wears it and it's lovely to see.
You just get on with it.
If they can follow a rule, well, of course they can follow a rule. Not like they're capable. But Karen, you can distance from your friends when you go out for cocktails.
Oh man.
You know. And then if you're not going to, don't blame it on the young people for doing what you're doing.
Don't come back from your week in Spain and then not take your temperature. And then when you're displaying COVID symptoms, go to the pub, go to the shops. Just live your life. Don't do that.
No. But, you know, enough of the COVID talk.
Yeah, we've turned into a current affairs.
Apparently we're not happy today because we chose to talk about jobs and COVID.
But I had a lovely week, and I just remember we also went to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, which again,
I love it.
10 out of 10, would recommend.
Yeah.
There was like a lot, we were really scared because there were loads of people, but everyone disappeared after a while.
It's really big.
It's a massive outdoor space.
So you can go loads of different ways, and it is kind of a good place to avoid people.
Yeah.
When I went, I got, like, a couple of weeks ago, I got absolutely soaked in the rain.
Oh, it was really lovely and sunny when we went, so I don't want to brag, but...
Yeah, thanks for that. I don't think I've been this wet in current times. I did not dress appropriately. Everyone else had brought an umbrella. We were going up a hill to get back to the car. My brother was just dragging me up the hill, holding an umbrella over me, dragging me up the hill. I was so done. And I just had to go. I was freezing the whole way home.
Oh.
But you know, it was kind of nice. It reminded me of being a child.
Being a kid and being that wet.
Yeah. And then we stopped at a service station. It was quite wholesome.
Did you?
Yeah, we stopped. It was my dad's birthday, so it was quite the birthday party because we went on a walk where we got soaked, and then we went to a service station where he got some chips from Burger King.
Oh my god. I
got a vegan steak bake from Greg's, and we got some Costas, and then we sat in the car, watched the rain, and ate it. So, happy birthday, Dad. That was his birthday meal.
But yeah, take your dad to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park.
Oh my god, you went for your dad's birthday too. Wow, happy birthday to the dads out there. Take them to a sculpture park, even if he was on the phone at the sculpture park, and I heard him say he wasn't enjoying it.
Oh no.
He was joking, but
he wasn't.
No.
We were all very confused because we didn't see it to the very end, but the Damien Hirst stuff that's there at the minute.
Is it the pregnant skeleton woman?
But it's like, you know, when it's like medical journals, you see all the muscles. So half of her was a pregnant woman, and then the other half was like a muscle bit of her. But then she was like scratching her bum with one hand, and you could see like the baby inside her. It was all.
I don't love them. They had a different one in Leeds City Centre about a summer ago. I don't know if you ever saw it.
No, I don't think I did.
It was similar, except the person was not pregnant, and they're massive.
Yeah, they're huge.
I don't know if I can convey how big they are, but almost like when you're that close to them, it's almost kind of uncomfortable how big they are.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a thing should be that big.
I'm trying to think of a building that it's like a... Would you say it's the size of your average town hall?
Yeah, I would say that. I'm trying
to think of a universal thing.
The better, like, sculpture that he did, they put in, well, in my opinion, art's subjective, but they put it in one of the, like, arcades in Leeds, and it was, like, an old, it was meant to look like an old sculpted angel sort of thing in marble.
Oh.
So it was all white, it was lovely, and if you saw it from one side, you just think it was a nice sculpted angel. And the other side, it was like a skeleton, but it was all still done in the white marble.
So it's classy and elegant.
Yeah. It wasn't massive. It was nice. The other ones I just didn't really like.
We're talking about selling out. I think Damien Hirst. Yeah. We were talking about
Damien Hirst.
And when we got home, we were like, because we were at the opposite end of the park and we saw it as we came away, so we weren't like looking at it, but it's hard to miss because it's massive.
Yeah.
And we were like, Mum and Dad sort of were in art school around the same time.
Yeah.
And they were saying that he, you know, the kind of the shark, because I remember seeing the shark in the formaldehyde.
Yeah.
In Tate, and it was like, oh, this is really cool, and it's, you know, there is something interesting about the shark. Yeah. But since then, it's like he just has to come up with ideas because he has backers and because he's a name.
Yeah.
And people will make them for him.
Well, that's the thing that gets me, that, like, he has the ideas and then leaves it to other people to do the hard bit, which is one thing, you know, that's okay, I guess. But two, I think when you do something very shocking, it's hard to come up with something equally shocking consistently throughout your career.
Yeah. And is it really that as thought out? Like, have you spent the time to think about that idea?
Yeah.
Or is it just the first thing that came to your head? You've got people that are like, you've got deadlines.
Yeah.
Just come up with something.
Damien, give us something different next time. I really liked the marble piece.
I'm going to find it because I'm intrigued by it.
It was really nice. And if he did more like that, I like the idea of maybe like traditional art being, you know, shown in like a realistic way. So like showing like one of the most beautiful things, which is like a marble statue. They're meant to be super beautiful. And then showing that they're human by showing their internal organs. Yeah, I like that. But the others were just, I thought they were kind of tacky.
They looked like you would see it in a weird, like, biology classroom, like in the back.
Well, that was why it didn't seem that creative, because it just seemed like he got
a textbook,
something from a biology classroom and sized it up.
Yeah.
I feel bad, Damien Hirst. Sorry, I didn't mean to just trash on you. I actually like Damien Hirst a lot, but my body just didn't react well to me trying to compliment Damien Hirst.
Yeah, that was a visceral reaction. It's like listening to Donald Trump on the telly. I might have a physical reaction to it now. I can't do it.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on to today's topic. Thank you for listening to us. Not moan, but a lot happens in the world, and we try and have the podcast to, like, not, for me anyway, it's like to not dwell on it or to look for, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little escape.
Not annoy your family with the amount of opinions you have on irrelevant things. But that's helpful.
Yeah, that's what's going on in the world this week.
Yeah, we're going to become a news podcast.
Please,
and tell you about Damien Hirst sculptures that I'm pretty sure were probably first put out like a year ago, so we're a bit late on the news. But there you go. Art news with Holly and Hannah.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the topic of the day.
Yeah, celebrity breakups.
Yeah. I always get kind of nervous that I'm going to say, not that I'm going to say the wrong thing, but like, what if I said like celebrity deaths, and you just had to sit there and be like,
oh no.
No. I think there was an issue in translation. Yeah, celebrity breakups.
Yeah. So today I'm going to be talking about the incredible and forever infamous Rumours recording from Fleetwood Mac.
I'm so happy you're doing this. I didn't know if you were doing this.
Did I not confirm it?
No, in my head, I don't know why I thought you were doing Miley Cyrus. So then when you came out with Rumours, I was like, I'm happy about it. I like Miley Cyrus, but I want to hear more about this.
I think at the end, once we've done our bits, I think we should do some honourable mentions.
We just rant about random ones. So we feel
honourable mentions, because obviously even this year there's been a lot. So anyway, it's the 70s, and
great time.
I think it was 1975 that Lindsay Buckingham and the incredible Queen Stevie Nicks joined Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
So I have a few thoughts about just what I've found in my research. So I feel like in the 70s, the way that men dressed, it wasn't good, but they were brave. I feel like they ran with the big collars. You had bell bottoms. You had they just look chic. I don't know, not everyone, because the hair is not the one.
No, I fully agree, because I have opinions on this.
Yes,
because my mum was at university in the 80s, and fashion in the 80s, especially among men, was kind of very experimental, kind of androgynous. It was men wearing makeup and stuff like that, and wearing bright colours. It was incredible. And I remember when I was younger, she would always say stuff men now and male fashion just isn't exciting. It's not fun. It's kind of just suits, jeans, tops. And now I think we're getting back into a place where it is exciting, because you have people like Harry Styles, and even when I see men go on the runway and they're wearing a skirt or a dress, I just think, yes, give me more of that. I don't want to see you in a suit.
No.
It's not exciting to me. So when I think about the 70s and the 80s and even the 60s, I just wish we had more of that, because it was
it's more colourful, and not in the whole flower power way, but just the looks that they were serving were just, there was something to look at, something exciting.
Different, yeah. And unlike now, I don't know, if you looked at musicians now, you got Ed Sheeran turning up in some jeans.
Jeans and a t-shirt, we have seen, but I understand men's clothing, they have very limited options. Fully understand that. It's the higher ups' fault for this. But I think we need to bring back that kind of experimental stuff through dress for men.
I think strongly do.
They deserve it. But the hair, we don't need to bring back the long hair and the...
Which hair do you mean? Do you just mean the long hair? I kind of like the long hair.
You are partial to a long-haired man.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it looks scraggly and unwashed.
I don't like the scraggly, the 70s scraggly ponytail with a waistcoat that's...
Yeah. And
that's
really
the image I've had.
long beards. They're just not good. But I did find that I was started to develop a little bit of a crush on Lindsay Buckingham. I know he wasn't a good man, didn't treat Stevie well.
He wasn't a good man, but...
He was the most attractive one out of the rest of them, in my opinion. Anyway, we can move on from that.
Yeah.
Christine McVie, who is also a member of Fleetwood Mac, her maiden name was Perfect. Before she married the guy McVie, I can't remember what his name is.
What was her maiden name?
Perfect.
I thought you were just telling me that it was the perfect maiden name.
I was setting it up.
It's what was it? That's incredible.
Isn't it? That's such a nice name.
I like her, but my dad always says that she's the better singer, and I don't think she is.
She's different. I think you can't. It's not like you can't compare them, because I think they obviously worked really well together in the band.
Yeah.
But she's got a more sadder.
Yeah.
Sad, the songs that she sings on the album.
I just always prefer Stevie.
Yeah.
And I'm not comparing the women.
No.
You can prefer either. For me, Stevie twirling round on the stage, singing about witchcraft, always does something to me.
Oh, incredible. I think she's got more, probably energy, I think, whereas I think Christine kind of is a bit more mellow.
She is a bit more melancholy, I would say.
Yeah.
Sat at the piano having a bit of a cry.
Yeah. That kind of
While
vibe.
Stevie twirls around.
in the same setting. We love that. So often Nix and McVeigh were pitted against each other by the press, and they were
which they shouldn't
have been, and they were always like trying to get them to like slag the other one off. But they said they were each other's only friend, and they were close throughout it and all the sexism, and they never.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, they like never lowered to fighting or competing with each other. They were just each other's closest friend, which I was like, absolute queens. Love that.
Yes, love that. They still friends now?
I don't know. I didn't really. I imagine so,
I don't
because
really see them together. But
they reformed the band quite recently and did some tours.
Well, yeah, because I was meant to go see Fleetwood Mac. Right? I was desperate to go in about, I don't know, maybe 2015.
Yeah.
When they were touring. And my mum and dad got tickets for us to go. They had 4 tickets.
Oh my god.
I was meant to go. And then my stupid prom was on the same day.
No.
And we all agreed that it would probably be better if I went to my prom because, you know,
milestones.
Hanging out with your friends, being young instead of going to see Fleetwood Mac with
my
parents.
God.
It's probably a good idea. So they went with their friends while I went to prom.
Oh
yeah.
My god. Did your brother go?
No, he stayed at home and their friends brought their dog, so he just like babysat a dog, which I was also kind of jealous of.
That is so funny that it was the one thing you wanted and they got the tickets.
And exactly, and like I came home from my prom before they got home from seeing Fleetwood Mac. It's just like my friend dropped me off. And I came in their house and just hung out with the dog for a bit. Then I changed out my dress because it was massive. And got my pajamas. And my mum came home and she was so upset. She was like, "Oh,
you should have gone.
Didn't really get to see you in your dress that much." And she didn't even enjoy it that much. So
no.
Yeah, she said it was just kind of like for her, just watching some old people on stage. Which I get.
But
it's
not what you want to hear after you gave it up to sit in a big dress with your peers.
Listen, I loved my prom. Was I a little resentful beforehand? Yes. Afterwards, I thought, yes, that probably was the right decision. But it would have been good to see Fleetwood Mac.
Especially if your mum didn't enjoy it that much.
Yeah, I know. But that made me feel better because I was like, well, if I'd have gone, would it have like ruined my image?
The image of it.
Mac?
Yeah, because in my head, they're still young and bopping about. And
yeah. And she said a lot of the time it just like felt like really long, like old people doing really long guitar solos and sort of one song drifting into another. She said she was bored.
Oh my god.
Which not great critique of the best bands ever. She paid all that money. She went to the concert. She was like,
I am bored.
This one's not for me.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes.
What?
Sorry, Fleetwood.
What an icon.
Anyway, give us the real drama now. I'll stop with the personal beef with Fleetwood Mac and my prom.
So there are the drug use that went on. They used to have a black velvet bag of cocaine stashed under the mixing desk, and they would periodically take hits while working. So Mick Fleetwood snorted a staggering amount over his career, an estimated 7 miles of cocaine.
Right, that's not healthy, and you know.
How is he still alive?
Addiction isn't funny, but also
7 miles of cocaine.
I'm just imagining like that all along a road, and
so
he's just like sniffing his way along,
like a hound dog. Like,
I mean, all I will say, how is his nose still intact?
How is he still alive? He must. I reckon, like, because people always like we know so much about how Stevie Nicks took cocaine. Like, we know the effect it's had on her body, but we don't know anything about him. And I don't know if that's a gendered thing that she's like, or she's been more honest about it. But surely that's done some internal damage.
You would think so.
You would think so, because that's.
I don't.
It's madness.
I don't understand. Like, he could be one of those people that just was completely wild, though, and then they're just super healthy. For some reason,
They
they're
defy
just
all logic and medicine.
all modern medicine. Just their body is just like, no, I'm good.
I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So, with all the drug use, during when they were recording Rumours for 11 months, communication between Lindsay Buckingham and Stevie Nicks often resorted into vicious fights where they were throwing stuff at each other. John and Christine McVie weren't speaking at all.
Oh.
John McVie and Buckingham were also fighting, and McVie reportedly threw a glass of vodka at Buckingham's face on one occasion.
Oh,
and
no.
They still recorded that. Like, I think that's what's remarkable about it, is that there was so much fighting, arguments, cocaine use, and they were writing songs about each other.
Yeah.
And it just...
Yeah.
It got made.
Yeah, it's I don't know, and I think that is why it is very remarkable. That, like, the album is incredible.
How did it album.
How did it go? How did it happen?
Like, I don't know. It's remarkable. So, cocaine use, again with the cocaine, it was so rampant that the band even considered thanking their dealer in the album credits. But they weren't allowed to do that.
What?
But can you imagine just like the dealer just gets a shout out? Oh no, that never happened because he was executed before the thing came out. Fleetwood wrote in his memoir.
He was executed?
That's what Mick Fleetwood says.
What? I need more from that. What?
That was it. It was just one line that said, unfortunately, he got snuffed, executed before the thing came out.
Right, that is pretty unfortunate, I will say. But, so the dealer was executed?
Was executed, yeah.
Right, we'll move on from that. That's probably going to plague my brain for a bit.
What happened to the dealer?
And then they were just like, yeah, he was, unfortunately, he was executed.
And
but we dedicate this album to him. But they probably would have dedicated it to him anyway, because, without him, the album may not have been so good.
Oh, man.
Not that you should use cocaine to write your albums.
See, I think...
But it just maybe worked for them.
I think this is the issue with it, because it's like, was it the fact that they were all hating on each other and taking this amount of, like, drugs, and there was so much, like, animosity? Does that play into the creative genius of it, or is it... Would they have been writing that if they were getting on with each other? Like, I think that's why we're so interested in it, because it's like, it deteriorated so massively. And they had to record it for 11 months. And,
it's too long. Maybe it was just that, tensions were super high. Like, they never ran out of stuff to write about. So I reckon they could have done it without the cocaine. But, if you're having a lot of fights with people, and then you add cocaine into the mix, it's not going to make it better, It's not going to mellow everyone out. It's going to... If you're shouting at someone before cocaine, after cocaine, it's not going to be better.
So it all got very, like, incestuous. And Mick Fleetwood, when they were recording it, Mick Fleetwood admitted that recording the album almost killed them. And it was actually the bassist, John McVie, came up with the title because there were so many... rumours circulating because of the affair, so that's where the name came from.
Yeah, you can't really be surprised. I would argue that potentially, could they call them rumours when they seem to have been true? I mean, it wouldn't have had the same ring to it, but it could have been called fact, because they were being terrible.
The truth. This is the truth.
Yeah, this is the truth. Well, anyway, so, who was the worst man?
The worst man?
Yeah, which of the men was the worst?
See, I think they're all bad in their own way. If you want my opinion. So I think because Stevie and Lindsay Buckingham they wrote so many songs. No, he wrote loads of songs about her. So he wrote Secondhand News, Never Going Back, and Go Your Own Way about Stevie Nicks.
Right.
But she,
Okay.
like, literally just blew all of them away with Dreams. So that's a large part of the album was written about them two taking swipes at each other.
I support that.
So I think, so that's why I think Lindsey Buckingham's he's a bit of a soft, sad boy, isn't he? That he just has to write his feelings out and then makes her sing about herself. Like, that's like what I think is...
I think that's the cruelest bit.
Yeah.
That you would make her sing it. And also, like, the clips of her singing it and then just giving him, like, the side eye as she's singing it.
Incredible.
And the fact that even to this day, she still has to sing it.
Yeah, because
I think that's rude.
The bit in where she told the Rolling Stone in Go Your Own Way, she said she very much resented him telling the world that packing up, shacking up with different men was all I wanted to do. It knew it wasn't true. It was just an angry thing, he said. But she still has to say it because Go Your Own Way is so iconic. And
so to this day, when they're on tour, she has to recount things that really hurt her in the past. Continually. Throughout her life.
It's like I wonder how you'd feel about it in retrospect, because it's what made you famous.
Maybe she just kind of distances herself from the meaning of it now, that she's like, well, that's not really me anymore, so I don't really feel it. But hard to know.
And then she also is recorded saying, every time those words would come out on stage, I wanted to go over and kill him. He knew it, so he really pushed my buttons through that.
That's terrible of him.
Mm-hmm. It's not.
That he was aware of that.
Yeah. So then Mick Fleetwood, also Stevie Nicks, fell madly in love with him at one point, 2 years after joining the band.
Stevie. Yeah.
So she was dating the Eagles' Don Henley, and Fleetwood was still married to a model. So she still calls Fleetwood one of her great, great loves. It was a doomed thing and caused a lot of pain to everybody. Apparently, when Fleetwood told Lindsey Buckingham that Lindsey said, "Nice of you to tell me. I appreciate it," which is possibly the most sarcastic thing you could say.
That's what I want to say if I remember in the situation. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Don't you worry about it.
I mean, either the most sarcastic thing to say, or she was on an immense amount of cocaine and she just was not registering what was happening. She was just like,
100%.
Thanks for letting me know.
It's insane. Like, so she upped her cocaine habit to cope with the fame and stress, and it eventually began to damage her voice. So then they started, and so basically their whole relationship was just like cocaine fueled, and they both made each other worse. She reportedly bought $1 million worth of cocaine and ended up with a dime-sized hole in her nose. Now, I don't know how big a dime is, but I can imagine that's a pretty big...
It's big.
...thing to have.
Too big to have in your nose. But what I really want to know is, how many miles worth of cocaine did she smoke?
They haven't reported it. They've just said she spent $1 million on cocaine.
I mean, I'd say that's probably a lot to spend. Probably a lot of miles. I heard that because of the hole in her nose, she had to find different ways to do cocaine. Like, she didn't stop.
I have heard this as well, but I think it was from you telling me, so I don't think it was...
we don't have any reliable source for this?
No.
Yeah, so it may not be true.
But I kind of believe it.
Yeah, so she couldn't do it from her nose anymore, so somehow she did it anally. I don't know how. I don't know how she did it. I don't know if that's true or if that works. And I don't advise you try it. I don't advise you try cocaine at all.
Home experiment.
Too serious, guys. Yeah. But that shows a woman in a worrying place, I would say.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you making a hole in your nose, not a piercing, just a massive hole, stop the drug.
Because that's like, is that it eating at the cartilage in her nose? Is that how that happens?
I imagine, I don't know. I think it's like
corrosion?
It's just corrosion, I would say.
No. So yeah,
that is why I would just not do drugs because I'm very sensitive about my nose. That, like, the idea of having a dime-shaped hole in it worries me massively. I couldn't take it.
No. Stop it. Don't do drugs.
Stop it. Official message from Culture Hang on drugs.
Stop it.
Stop it, don't do them. If it's corroding your nose, probably best to put it away.
Yeah. I think
is our official message.
Yeah, there are signs to look out for.
Yeah. That's probably one of the major ones. You know, when it's hurting your body and you're not stopping.
Yeah,
that's the time to get help.
When the fun stops, stop. Turning into like
It's not funny. We're laughing through the pain for
Stevie.
For the girls. That's for Stevie.
So they have an affair, Stevie Nicks and Mac Fleetwood.
Yeah.
But he's still married, and then after his marriage breaks down, unsurprisingly, he embarks on a relationship with Stevie Nicks' best friend.
Right. Just if you're someone's best friend, maybe don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not her fault.
No, but
not blaming the best friend, but just
maybe there's more
just
people
don't have
out
an
there.
affair with your best friend's a fair man.
A fair man.
Lover. You know.
So, but she said, I had a very dear friend whose name was Sarah, who just went after Mick, and they fell in love, and the next thing, Sarah's husband is calling me to say, Sarah moved in with Mick this morning, and I just thought you might want to know.
The husband seems quite chilled about the whole thing.
He's got the Lindsay Buckingham approach.
Yeah. Thanks for informing me.
Thanks for letting me know. I want to let you know. So she said that was 3 months into a 13-month album. So this is for Tusk, which was recorded a few years later.
I love Tusk.
And then she said she lost Mick, which wasn't that big of a deal because it was a rocky relationship. But losing my friend Sarah, that was a huge blow. Sarah was banished from the studio by the rest of the band. No one was speaking, and I wouldn't even look directly at Mick. That went on for months, and it was great fodder for writing. The songs poured out of us.
Well, at least she's looking at the positives.
I know, but to lose your friend,
it's not something that, in those situations, I think I've just fully blamed Mick because...
Yeah, fully.
Because, I think she could have reconciled with her friend if it wasn't...
Yeah.
The band wasn't involved. If it had been any other man, her friend clearly meant a lot to her, I think they could have eventually been okay, we mean too much to each other to let this come between our friendship.
Yeah.
But because it was him and the whole band was involved, he ruined her friendship.
He did.
I would fully blame him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, but apparently Fleetwood and Sarah got married, and they were married for 7 years.
Okay, so I guess you can't be that angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's not something that's easy to get over if your best friend's gone and married a man that was the great love of your life.
Oh, I mean, I think you have to have a strong sense of character to make peace with it if you think it's the great love of your life. But was that cocaine fueled?
Struggle.
I
think the overriding question on all of this situation is probably, was it cocaine fueled? The answer is probably yes.
Big time. So then, John McVie once joked that the two people who hadn't had an affair are him and Lindsay, because Christine McVie, so John McVie and Christine McVie were married. She began an affair with Martin Birch, who was Fleetwood Mac's sound engineer. The band then got rid of him. And
what? Honestly, the lesson is don't have an affair with someone in Fleetwood Mac because they will isolate you.
They will get you out.
They will make you lose your job. Yeah. They will shun you.
If you're not one of the main band members, who they can't get rid of because they need it for the trauma fuel or whatever that's filling their song lyrics.
Trauma fuel.
Trauma fuel. Yeah.
Great name for a band.
Trauma fuel.
Yeah.
Coin it. That's, we'll get that.
Yeah, no one steal it. That's ours.
So the McVies were in trouble because they were still legally married when they started recording Rumours, but they weren't speaking to each other. Yeah. We literally didn't talk other than to say, what key is this song in? Christine later told Uncut. We were as cold as ice to each other because John found it easier that way. Because he was, to be fair, this is actually really sad. He had really big issues with alcohol alcoholism.
Oh.
So that's why they weren't really speaking, because I don't think Christine could cope with it anymore. And she started a relationship with the band's lighting director, which caused loads of tension for the rest of the group.
And you don't really want to, like, upset the lighting manager because, you know...
They have so much control over what you look like. Like, you don't want to piss off stage crew. Any budding people out there.
Yeah, don't. Be nice to everyone, otherwise you will be turned on.
So the sad thing is, she said she broke up with John in the middle of a tour. She had to do it for her sanity. It was either that or me ending up in a lunatic asylum. So he was acting really strangely when they were on tour. He would pace up and down hotel corridors at night, yelling Christine's name while she hid in her room. And yeah, so now he talks candidly about his alcoholism, and he doesn't blame Christine for leaving him.
Oh, okay. Well,
so yeah,
I have more sympathy for him.
Yeah, I think if
he seems
you know,
just a sad soul.
An addiction is a disease, so you know.
Yeah, I think they were all diseased in that way.
Yes. Oh yes. So then I thought I'd end with a fun little "Where are they now?"
Yay!
So again, actually, this one's quite sad. Stevie Nicks briefly married Kim Anderson, who is the widower of her best friend, in 1983, after Snyder, her friend Robin Snyder, she died 2 days after giving birth to her baby. So 3 months after that, Nicks and the widower were married, but then split after a few months later, because she was doing it for her friends, so her so the the little boy would have like someone to grow up with, a mum. And then, but this report said they split up after a few months because Nick said she felt her friend's presence in the nursery, which is a bit spooky, witchy.
Well, so her friend's presence then being like angry and saying
it didn't elaborate.
Was it just that she felt because her friend was there, the child didn't need her as well?
Oh, maybe. I didn't think of it like that.
But like, I just don't. A ghost isn't a good parent. You know.
Practically.
So maybe she should have stayed. And
I think they have a really good relationship, like as with her stepson, because now he is her stepson because she was married to the guy. So it has a semi-happy ending. Mick Fleetwood married his third wife in 1995. They have 2 twin 17-year-old daughters, but they split in 2013, so it's quite like a normal relationship. John McVie has been married to a woman since 1978. Christine McVie married...
That's super long.
It's really long, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like...
Didn't expect it.
No. Christine McVie married fellow keyboard player Eddie Quintilia in 1986, but they got divorced in 2003. And Lindsay Buckingham has been married to Christine Messer since 2000. They have 3 children. He recently won a lawsuit against Fleetwood Mac after he was kicked out of the band in 2018. And that's where they are now.
Won.
He was kicked.
He won the lawsuit.
He did.
Why was he kicked out?
I didn't really go into that. But I think it was probably over, like, I think he was demanding money or something.
Oh, okay. But he won.
But he won the lawsuit, so he had grounds.
Yeah. Well,
so that is the story. That is the story of the incredible album and how it came to be.
Yeah.
Cocaine fueled.
Numerous affairs and cocaine. Not the message you want to share with young artists out there. That's not the only way to be successful.
But
so
it is a way.
Don't try it.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked for them,
but
they had years of unhappiness.
Yes.
So, and even now are suing each other.
Yeah.
So maybe avoid it.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, I'm like, do you want to be the person that, is sleeping with your best friend's boyfriends and stuff? Do you want to go through the emotional turmoil?
Just to get that trauma fuel.
I don't think I could deal. I'm too lazy.
It does seem like a lot of effort.
I mean, if someone came to me and said, you could be a great artist if you agree to, fall out with people consistently. and do a ton of drugs.
Well, not the drug thing, but that has just
okay.
reminded me. I meant to do an update at the beginning of the podcast because Gabby Hanna has.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Very, very recently.
I'm so excited about this. I wanted to do an update on this too.
Sorry, it's coming at the end, an hour in, but here we are.
Yeah.
So
listen to an hour in to know the update.
Gabby Hanna has taken a swipe at Trisha Paytas, saying that she's written her song about her without telling Trish. So obviously Trisha's pop. We said this, didn't we? We said this, that they don't know how else to be other than to have this like drama fuel and kick it all off. And they know that Trisha's gonna go off on one, and it's made it to the drama channels.
Have you seen her TikToks?
No.
Trisha's TikToks where she's just like she does one where she's like basically being like, I'm scared of Gabby Hanna.
Oh no, I have seen that one. Yeah.
And then she's done ones where she basically just playing the bits that the drama channels have said. But yeah, I watch that and I'm like, these women are too old for this.
Yeah.
Grow up.
It's really like they don't know how else to stay relevant. They don't know how else to.
Gabby Hanna is serious about being an actual artist, doing poetry, blah blah blah. How does she ever expect to be taken seriously if
I don't know.
All she can do to get her name out there is to just start more drama?
I don't know.
No, that's not the way to do it, Gabs.
And the whole thing is that she took a break to have a mental health break. Is this really how you're going to reintroduce yourself to the internet?
Yeah.
The same old stuff?
Just don't mention other YouTubers' names.
Anyway, so that was the update.
I love it. Oh, and I guess another small update, but you'll know. Kardashians has ended.
Yeah.
Or is ending, and it's definitely because of our podcast.
Yeah, we drove them off the
Kim
television
emailed
screens.
us. She said, "Take this down, or we're cancelling the show." And we were like, Kim.
No, what she did say was, we have some constructive. She was like, we listened to your points, and you have really good points. We didn't think about that for our children.
We're worried about the children now.
We've nipped that in the bud.
Yeah. Am I bothered that it's over? I mean, I never watched it, so no.
No, I never watched it either.
And also, I see clips from the early seasons, and I think, yeah, that seems entertaining. Any clips from the later seasons, other than when they're fighting with each other, which just seems so fake to me, because they're adults.
Yeah.
If you're still fighting to the extent of hitting your siblings when you're in your 30s and early 40s, just stop seeing your siblings. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
But other than that, the late seasons just seem so boring that I'm not really surprised it's ending now. I can't really think that they're going to make it exciting without talking about Kanye being Kanye. And he's not even bothered about the show.
And also, I think it's served its purpose, hasn't it? Like, they've got their billions and they've got all their brands, and they've
got their own stuff now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a nice break in the middle.
On the pulse.
Yeah. Okay. So, breakups. Back to them. So I'm mainly going to talk about Ewan McGregor because
he's been a bad man.
Okay, you said breakups. I struggled to think of something immediately that wasn't a super obvious one. So I was thinking Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake and stuff like that, but I was like, no, I don't feel too passionately about it. Brad and Jennifer Aniston. And then I brought it up to my mum in the car, and she immediately had so many opinions on so many celebrities that she seems to still resent to this day. Honestly, I couldn't talk about Brad and Jen and Angelina because I would do a disservice to my mum, who ranted about it for about 10 minutes, despite it happening probably 20 years ago now.
It's still in her psyche, isn't it, though? It still causes pain.
Yes, she feels terrible for Jennifer, but has recently learned to see Brad as the villain and not Angelina, and I think that's growth in feminism. So, yeah, she came up with a bunch of ideas, she was telling me. And then she that, like, why don't you do Ewan McGregor? Because Ewan McGregor is someone that me and my mum loved. As a family, I think we loved Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, he was a big part of, like, stuff in our childhoods, like, and he's Scottish, so he has that extra thing.
Yeah, he has the extra thing. But yeah, I always thought he was lovely, loved his films. Yes, he was a big part of our childhood. And my mum loved him too. Family love for Ewan McGregor. And I always think it's quite nice when, and I know it shouldn't be, it's really normal, but when there's celebrities who've been married to their spouse for a long time. Because a lot of the times when celebrities get married or are in relationships, you think, oh, it's just a publicity thing.
Yeah, isn't that mad? That it's
the biggest example of this is Shawn Mendes and who's that girl that he was dating?
Oh, I don't know.
Shawn Mendes and she was the girl that they sung the song to. Oh my god, I can't remember. I'm forgetting her name. It's really rude to her. Camila Cabello.
Oh, the most recent, yeah.
Yeah, they were dating for like a year, and everyone was like, "This is clearly just publicity." No one believed it for the whole time they were together, and even when they supposedly broke up recently, I saw tweets that were like, "Oh, their contracts ended."
Oh.
So no one believed it. So when you see the like opposite of that, someone who's been married to their wife a long time, you're like, oh, that's really nice. I know that's just like so sad, but it makes them seem genuine. So Ewan McGregor had also just a bit of background. I kind of didn't want to research this because I had so much fuel to just rant about it, but I felt I should get some facts and dates. But it was hard because there was so much stuff like by the Sun and the Daily Mail that I didn't want to be. Yeah, and also I did at some point feel like it was their life, so I didn't want to like pry too much into some bits, and I didn't want to be spreading false information. But I mean, I am kind of doing that anyway, so sorry. So Ewan was married to Eve Mavrickis. She's French, so I'm sorry if I'm butchering her name. She's a production designer, and they were married for 22 years.
Wow, and that is a long time.
Yeah, whenever I listened to him talk about her in an interview, he was so lovely. Like, they seemed genuinely in love, and they had 2 children together and adopted 2 children as well. So they had 4 children. They just seemed like a really sweet and loving couple. Very happy for them. So then, in 2017, some pictures came out in the press of Ewan kissing Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who he was co-stars with at the time, or had been. And okay, it was then confirmed that he had been split from Eve for 5 months, but the belief is that they split because due to him either being in love with Mary or having an affair.
Oh.
So yeah, they split.
And how old is Mary?
She's in her 30s. I think that there's over a 10-year, I'd say maybe like a 15-year age difference, which I'm going to just quickly Google it because I'm not going to Google it. I'm just going to spout what might be lies. I think maybe Eve was a little bit older than him or his age.
Okay, so
and then he goes for like a younger woman. I'm going to look up her age actually, so bear with me. Eve Mary.
He just becomes a cliche, really.
So Eve is 54 and Ewan is 49. So yeah, she was older than him, and then he goes for a younger woman. And yeah, that must have felt lovely. So Mary and Ewan met on the set of Fargo, and that sparked the romance, and then I think he supposedly fell in love with her, told his wife that, then they got divorced, but also they could have been having an affair. Well, I suppose it is an affair if you're in love with another woman, so.
Emotional cheating is still cheating.
Yeah. Remember that. So yeah, then Ewan and Mary go public in like November of the same year. They're holding hands in Los Angeles. Then, next update, 2018. This comes from People, which I'm hoping it, use good sources. But, they noted that Ewan filed for divorce from Eve, so he filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, and I imagine that difference was the fact that he was in love with another woman.
Ooh, tea.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think it's widely assumed that the divorce is because of his romance with Mary. And that is pretty evident from the reaction from his children, which I will get into later, because that has to be the most iconic thing about this whole divorce. I know it's sad, it's their family, but I respect these children. Also, there was monetary disagreements. So the lawyer said this isn't true, but apparently Ewan claimed in court, and there are court documents that showed this, so I don't know why they claimed it wasn't true. He claimed that he paid more than was necessary to cover child support in the past, and therefore wanted reimbursement and or credits.
What?
I know! Okay, so the lawyer said that wasn't true and they weren't having issues with money, but I'm pretty sure that was in the court document, so how is it not true? I don't understand.
Oh my god.
I don't have enough grasp on the law, so just don't hate Ewan too much, but if that's true, stop it.
That's mad.
Also, Eve was trying to get full custody of the girls, which I think shows they're not on good terms at all, because if your husband hasn't been having an affair, you're probably going to let him have joint custody.
Yeah.
But she was going for full, or at least full custody of their youngest child, who at this point is the only one that's still fully a child.
Right.
So the reaction of the children. The two oldest girls were the only ones to react publicly on Instagram, and let me tell you, they were quite the reactions. So we'll start with Clara, who is the oldest, and she commented on a picture of Mary on Instagram that was shared by one of Mary's fan accounts.
Oh my god.
She commented, "Most beautiful and talented woman on earth, question mark. Oh man, y'all are delusional. The girl is a piece of trash."
Oh my god.
And then she later said that wasn't her finest moment, but we'll cut her some slack. And then she posted at a different point a photo on Instagram of her mum on the beach in a bikini. She looked lovely, and someone commented on it saying, "Good to know you have the smoke show genes. Keep her away from your boyfriends," as in saying,
her mum.
Your mum's very attractive.
Yeah.
Keep her away from boyfriends because they'll go towards her. And Clara replies, "Nah, I keep her away from asshole men who leave my goddess of a mother." So fully just being my dad is trash. Now she seems to still hang out with her dad at some points now. So they clearly have made up little bits, but I think generally the children fully resent him a little. And then their daughter Esther wrote a song about the separation on Instagram.
God.
Which, again, iconic. The song's called "Made You a Man." And these are some of the lines. "I read some dumb shit that I found online. Seeing those pictures are making me cry. Happy birthday to me, am I right?" And the reason she says happy birthday is the pictures of her dad kissing the other woman were released on her birthday.
Oh, no.
So she found out about that on her birthday.
Oh my god.
And then she says, "I don't know how to forgive. I don't know if I can. Ruining me." So,
oh man.
Clearly, they didn't love their dad at the time. Which is pretty fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
And so I think that kind of shows that he pretty much did have an affair.
So how old are the girls?
I would say at this time that Clara would have been between 18 and 20. I'd say maybe 21 actually.
So
because I think maybe she's 24 now, and then Esther between 16 and 18. They were late teens, young adults. But so that's why they were only trying to get full custody of the youngest child.
Ones, yeah.
Because I think the other adopted girl is the same age as Esther, and then there's the youngest one that is maybe 8 or 9.
Oh, okay.
So all the children seem to support their mother. They have their mum post pictures with them online. They all seem really close. But they do seem to hang out with their dad a bit now, so maybe they've got a better relationship. But Eve does not have a good relationship with Ewan. Let's just say that they have not had an easy divorce. The divorce finalized in 2020, and they have joint custody of their youngest child. And Ewan is responsible for paying Eve for nearly $15,000 per month in child support, as well as a trust fund set up for their daughter's educational expenses. And he also pays Eve nearly $36,000 per month in spousal support.
Per
So she's
month?
getting, per month, she's getting like about $50,000.
Oh my god.
From Ewan. For herself and the children.
Rich people are mental. Imagine just having... So what's 50 times 12?
You're expecting a lot.
600,000
basic maths
a year.
Yeah.
Just from like child support. Oh my god.
So yeah, well, there's the two sides of this. That's a terrible amount of money that no one needs, but also,
yeah.
If she's milking him dry,
oh, fair enough. I think
don't have an issue with that. Because I was asking my mum why she gets like more spousal support than there is child support, which I didn't really understand, but I guess it all makes sense. And she was saying that it might be that Eve maybe had to like give up her job to raise the 4 children they had or something,
yeah.
and so she's getting the money from him that she would have got from her career.
Right.
But I don't know that for definite. Anyway, the weirdest aspect I would say about this is recently, maybe 2019, Ewan wins a Golden Globe for his work on Fargo, I think, and he thanks both Mary and Eve.
Oh no.
So he says, I've always loved being an actor and hanging out with actors, and I got amazing actors to work with on this, and it wouldn't be anything, I think that's meant to say. Oh, and there wouldn't be any Emmett or Stassi without David Michael, Carrie Coon, and there would be no Ray without Mary Elizabeth Winstead, so thank you very much. I also think maybe him and Mary had broken up at this time as well. And then he says, I want to take a moment to thank Eve, who always stood beside me for 22 years, and my 4 children. I love you. So you might think, oh, that's kind of sweet,
yeah.
like maybe they're close now. The Daily Mail goes to catch up with Eve.
Oh my god.
And they know this is in the home that she and Ewan once shared in California, and they ask her how she felt about this moment when he thanked her, and she said, no, I did not like his speech. So he's like, thank you for standing by me, and she is just like,
nope.
No. And so the other one I was going to talk about as well is Colin Firth, because he kind of has the opposite experience of that, in that he's cheated on instead of cheating on people, and he's also in a relationship for 22 years, he's also married for 22 years. However, this was confusing. So he's married to Olivia, and yeah, they're married for 22 years, so I was under the belief she had an affair, and it does say that. So in 2018, they both announced that Livia had an affair with journalist Marco Brancasio. But then they say when her and Colin were separated. So I'm confused.
Okay, so maybe they had...
if it was an affair or not.
Yeah.
I don't know if they separated because of the affair and she continued it.
Right.
But then they got back together and they had to announce that she'd had the affair because Marco was stalking her.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's kind of tragic. And then eventually they just get a divorce all together. So I don't know. I kind of thought that'd be more juicy, and I guess it is because she was
getting
stalked. But I don't know. I couldn't figure out if she fully cheated on him, or I guess if you're separated, you're not fully broken up. So maybe that, I don't know, that counts as an affair. I was very confused by the whole thing.
Yeah.
But sorry, Colin, about your deteriorating marriage. And I hope you're happy now. It was his birthday the other day.
Oh,
so,
happy birthday, Colin Firth.
Yeah, I hope you're not too lonely.
Oh my god, that's bleak.
Yeah, that's, I felt very sad by the Ewan one, and it makes me distrust him.
It seems like it's been terribly handled. I feel like if you can afford to pay that much money in like child support every month, then you should have somebody that's literally going to coach you on how to like go through this properly. Because I was listening to someone talk about the Gwyneth Paltrow. She's written a piece for Vogue, I think, where she talks about the conscious uncoupling, and I think this is the thing. Like, it became such a joke, but she's actually saying like they were trying to do it differently and still trying to be in each other's lives and for their children, and could they reach a point where it wasn't hugely, and like it wasn't this big like animosity thing, and And I might actually read it because it sounds interesting that, you know, I think she does quite like dangerous things with the pseudoscience for Goop and the kind of rich list thing, but
and her privilege
and her huge privilege. But I think she was trying to, you know, work through her own divorce in her own way, which I think is.
I like what she did.
Yeah.
I like the theory behind it. I think I'd like it more if it wasn't Gwyneth Paltrow saying it from like a very privileged point, because it maybe is. A divorce is a very hard thing to go through, and there's a lot of monetary issues. Like, it's expensive. It's one of the most expensive things to do that should just be easy.
Yeah.
So when there's money involved and custody over children and maybe like an affair or some sort of abuse or something, I don't know if it's that easy
to get out
consciously uncouple and do. And as much as, even if your spouse cheated on you, your priority should be thinking of a child, if there's a child, and how, and not putting your resentment onto them.
No.
That seems like such a hard thing to do, to act impartial when all you want to do is be like, this person is terrible and was terrible to me.
Can you imagine if you had been married to someone for 22 years, you have 4 children together, and then they sack you off for some younger woman? And it's so stereotypical. We just kind of expect it now. We're not surprised by it at all. It's like...
I know. Anytime a couple that's been together, like a celebrity couple that's been together a long amount of time, gets a divorce, you always expect that the man will then go and find a younger woman. It's just kind of what men in Hollywood do. And I'm not saying that there's necessarily something wrong with that, but there is a little bit. Sorry.
I think the frequency with which it happens is, you think, right, well, what's this saying, like, largely about?
Well, I'm going to reference something that is a bit weird, but on the show BoJack Horseman, there's an arc where a dog man he has been married 3 times, and he's basically wondering why none of his relationships work. He's been famous in the past, so he has all this money, and he always ends up with just fighting with his wives a lot and then getting divorced. And his like ex-wife says to him, like, you're marrying these really young girls, and then they're outgrowing you.
Yeah.
So essentially what I get from that is, if you're a man in your 40s or 50s, and you're going out with someone who's in their 20s, they're going to grow a lot in those years.
Yeah.
And you maybe have finished your maturing, but they have not. So that's what I think's wrong about it, is because that relationship's not going to work out. You're not going to be happier. They're not going to be happier. And, you know, do you not feel like you've wasted your time a bit?
I think that, because it's like you're at such... I've always felt this with age gaps, and I do think there's like a difference with power plays and, you know, especially what came out of Me Too.
Yeah.
You know, people using their position of power and authority to hugely, like, harass people and, you know, sexually abuse people, which is just awful. But I think if you are with someone who's in a vastly different time from you, like, have had a very different life experience. And I think there's something about, like, the mysticism of love, that if you fall in love with someone, you can't help it. It's like a instinctual thing.
Yeah, there's instances of like girls in their 20s or boys in their 20s falling in love with someone who's in their 50s and that working out.
Yeah, like
that does happen.
What's Aaron and Sam Taylor-Johnson?
Yeah, they're happy. They have their family.
Yeah.
I don't see that not working out. Maybe they just...
It just
were
works
at similar
for them.
emotional maturities, and it works.
Yeah, and I think...
I'm not saying it never can.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. I think it just seems like people are at such different ages and want different things at different ages. And how do you sustain that if you're from, like, 2 different times, really?
Well, as well, I feel like people like Sam Taylor-Johnson probably weren't looking for a younger man who was, like, his mentality was younger. But I think a lot of older men, and I'm generalising, but when older men are looking for a younger woman, they're looking for that younger woman mentality. They want them to be slightly immature.
Like young,
they don't
and
want
to
them...
give them a new lease of life and all that
Exactly,
rubbish.
like the cool girl from Gone Girl, that's what they want. They want this teeny tiny little child woman. And that's why that doesn't work out. If you're looking for someone with the same priorities as you and, like, maturity and the same wants, that will work out. But if you're looking for someone who's just young, you can't expect that person to stay that way.
No.
Because of course they won't. Silly.
So yeah, so that is... I'm so sad with Ewan McGregor, because I do think... And also, my brother's called Ewan, and it's not the same way.
Yeah, ruined the name.
He's ruined the name. He's not...
It's not quite... Is it spelled the same though?
No.
Okay, then it's not. It's okay.
It's okay.
But I think I was upset, yeah, because even now... Did you watch that Christopher Robin film he was in?
No, I didn't actually. No.
That's a really good film. It makes me really sad.
Oh no.
Like, if you want to see something that's just really precious and makes you sad, watch it. The whole time I was kind of watching it, I was very immersed in it, but also thinking, oh God, I hate Ewan.
Oh.
He has like a family in it, and I was just thinking,
he's ruined that.
Just you wait, he's gonna leave you. Just struggle to trust him, and I feel like I've found my way onto like Ewan McGregor TikTok sometimes. Like I see a lot of Ewan McGregor videos, and it's all these girls being like, love him, and I just think,
you were the chosen one.
Exactly. Ewan.
Oh.
I was disappointed, and I still am.
I think that's it, and I think, you know, obviously we don't know these people because of the celebrity relationship thing, but I think you want people that you support to be good people or to act in a good way. And I think because he fell into such a cliche with it after he'd been married for 22 years. Like, and for his daughters to be that publicly calling him out.
I think it had to be worse than we realised.
Yeah. Because you don't do
then you
that.
Would maybe realise
you don't need to do that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to.
You want to keep your private life as private as possible because it's always being like intruded in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And by tabloids.
For the mum to still be like, even when he thanked her in a speech, to be like, no, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, there's some real issues there.
Yeah, you wouldn't be like that if you just got a divorce. It had to be a pretty terrible divorce. And to try and get sole custody of a child as well. Yeah. I don't think you do that unless
something's going on.
You really believe that other person is not capable.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, just some ranting about men.
That's what we're slowly drifting into each week.
Yeah. You know what makes me sad?
What?
When this is kind of bad, but like, you know, when there's men that are very devoted to their wife, like celebrities. I know this is very shallow, but they're very devoted to their wife, and then the wife dies. I feel like there's a lot of instances of that. Like it happened, but it happened to Liam Neeson.
Oh, that is sad though.
Pierce Brosnan, and then recently John Travolta, who I feel different about because he is a Scientologist, but his wife died, and they'd been together for a long time, and they still had a young child as well. Yeah, I just feel, and then they just always seem a little sad to me.
I thought you were suggesting it like they offed them or something, like there was some sort of, they couldn't, no one has a happy marriage that happy.
So they off them. I kind of love that as well. I wish I had some examples to give you of male celebrities offing their wives.
Maybe that could be a new segment.
Yeah. I wonder if there is any.
Oh, there will be.
There must be one.
There will be.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have any honourable mentions before we finish?
I mean, I would say that I've mentioned it already, I just think it's when you think of celebrity breakups, I think a lot of people think of Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, because everyone loved Jennifer Aniston. She was on Friends. She was wholesome. We all loved her. Well, I think that maybe this was before I was born or when I was about 1, so like, I wasn't really aware of what was happening.
22 years ago at least.
Okay, I'm like sort of, this is just anger that's been passed down from my mum. But everyone loved Jen. She was a lovely girl. Brad Pitt, great guy too. He appeared on an episode of Friends. It was really funny.
Did he?
Everyone loved it. Yeah, it was like a Thanksgiving episode, and the premise of it is that he hates Jennifer Aniston's character, and it was like ha ha ha, funny because they're married. Yeah. Then he goes to film Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or whatever it's called, with Angelina Jolie. They have an affair, and he divorces Jennifer. Everyone was heartbroken for her, couldn't believe he'd do this to Jennifer, and this is the thing, I think there was a lot of hate towards Angelina, because I think a lot of people back in the time
Blame the
where
woman.
feminism, wasn't so progressed, they would blame the woman and be like, how dare she steal Brad from Jen? Anyway, cut to now. Angelina and Brad are divorced.
Yeah.
And apparently he's a very bad father, would fight with his children, there's like evidence of it happening, his children don't really speak to him. Angelina being the perfect mother, making sure they're all happy, out of the limelight, blah blah blah. A lot more support for Angelina now, and I think a lot of stuff came out in their divorce where he was bad, she was good. But yeah, essentially she just seems really nice, no one really blames her anymore. Well, I'm sure some people do. And we all blame Brad for just being terrible. And there was pictures of Brad and Jennifer at an award ceremony probably like last year, and they seemed to be okay with each other, although it did seem a little bit awkward.
A little bit staged, yeah.
Although she looks incredible now, and I just think Brad Pitt looks more and more like...
Oh, he looks weird, doesn't he?
Yeah, it looks a bit dirty. He kind of has that...
Dirty?
Like, yeah. Looks like he needs a good wash. He has that sort of like... I feel like when I see Leonardo DiCaprio, I kind of think of him as well, where I just think Hollywood man, kind of dirty, bit there, dating young girls.
Yeah, it's like...
Leo DiCaprio and all has never, in the public eye, had a girlfriend over 25. Never.
Ooh.
Not once.
And now he's turning into a dirty old man, you are right. It's like, you're veering very swiftly into that stereotype.
And I think, I'm going to probably spout some wrong information, but you can research it. The girl he's dating now, I think he'd like met her when she was like a teenager, because she's some sort of director's relative.
Yeah, no, you are right, because I remember we looked it up when we were at uni. Yeah, like...
It's just don't do that, Leo.
Stop it.
Stop being leery.
Stop it.
But what about you? What's your honourable mention?
My honourable mention will be Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth.
This made me sad.
I think that's it. I think because...
I was rooting for them.
A lot of what happened when Miley Cyrus was like breaking out when she was like twerking on Robin Thicke and stuff, like, weird. But, and it probably, in retrospect, I don't want to listen to the Joe Rogan podcast with her because I don't want to support it, so maybe I'll just look for something that does like highlights or something. But I think, you know, she obviously wanted to break out from something, or she wanted to express herself in a different way.
Yeah.
But we were so happy when they got back together, and when they got married, and then they were affected by the California fires, and obviously because they're celebrities that it's different, but like their house burnt down or something, and then
they donated a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And they had all these dogs together.
And you just thought, oh well, they figured it out and they've come back together, and
their wedding photos were
so sweet, and then it's just... And then she ended up with Cody Simpson, who she's also broken up with.
That was weird.
But he's a weird looking
man. I guess it wasn't weird because, like, we don't know the ins and outs of it. But she, like, from our perspective, she broke up with Liam, and then she was with that woman for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then she was with Cody Simpson, and it all happened very fast. And that's her prerogative, and I'm not judging her, but I felt sad.
Yeah.
I felt like if I was Liam, I'd feel a bit sad seeing all that in the public eye. And she's allowed to do what she wants, and I'm not judging her, but I just felt sad for Liam.
I did.
But this is if Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner ever break up.
Oh, that would be the end.
I will be like, I'll be sad. I will not believe in love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they just had their baby.
They did. This, like, hiding your pregnancy thing, I'm really intrigued by it. It seems to be...
I saw some paparazzi shots while she was pregnant. She had some good outfit options.
Did she?
She wore... Sometimes she was just wearing, like, biker shorts and a baggy top, and it looked nice.
Oh.
But a lot of the time she was wearing, like, baby doll dresses and cute things like that. And while pregnant was still doing... Black Lives Matter marches.
Excellent.
Stuff like that. She's
10 out of
still
10.
protesting.
We love.
And people were like judging her for while she was pregnant going to protesting. She's like, no, I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm doing
she's
it.
doing her bit.
Her. She's incredible. And I hope her and Joe are happy forever.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice, like, a hopeful couple to end on, I think.
Nick Jonas and Priyanka can break up.
Oh,
like, I don't really care about them. She's not great.
She's not great.
No. They just don't, like, again, it's their life, I cannot judge, but they don't seem to match as a couple, you know?
Yeah. They don't seem to have fun.
No. Do you see that video of her just clapping to the opener? Like, I think it was like a clap for carers thing.
No.
But then she's just clapping to an open field. And from what I can gather, I feel like Nick Jonas must have filmed it.
Oh, that's weird.
But it's just sort of silence while she claps to no one.
Oh, man.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There we go, ladies and our, 5% of men. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And we'll see you next week with a new episode of Culture Hang.
Peace out.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.